Forget everything you think you know about the Yankees' offseason plans. Forget Kyle Tucker. Forget the Cody Bellinger reunion tour. Forget all the predictable moves that every armchair general manager has been throwing around on social media since the World Series ended in disappointment. A former Yankees outfielder just detonated a verbal nuclear device that has sent shockwaves rippling through the entire baseball landscape, and what he's proposing isn't just bold, it's absolutely audacious. Cameron Maybin, who wore the pinstripes back in 2019 and knows exactly what it takes to survive and thrive in the Bronx pressure cooker, just laid out the blueprint for a move so massive, so franchise-altering, so completely unexpected that it would immediately catapult the Yankees back to the top of the American League hierarchy. We're not talking about adding another solid piece to complement what's already here. We're talking about acquiring a legitimate ace. A two-time Cy Young Award winner who just dominated the American League, a left-handed power pitcher entering his absolute prime who could transform the Yankees' rotation from a question mark into a weapon of mass destruction. Cameron Maybin is calling for Brian Cashman to trade for Tarik Skubal, and if the Yankees actually pull this off, every single team in baseball better start sweating. The Yankees just went through another season that ended with that all-too-familiar bitter taste of postseason failure. Sure, they made it to the World Series, which is further than 28 other teams got, but losing to the Dodgers in 5 games felt like getting punched in the stomach after months of believing this might finally be the year. The starting rotation showed cracks when the stakes were highest, the bullpen was overworked trying to compensate, and once again the Yankees were left wondering what might have been if they just had that second dominant starting pitcher to pair with Garrett Cole. This isn't a new problem. This has been the Yankees' Achilles heel for years now. The glaring weakness that gets exposed every single October when championship caliber teams need 5 or 6 legitimate starting pitchers who can handle pressure situations and deliver quality innings against the best lineups in baseball. Garrett Cole remains the unquestioned ace, the guy you want on the mound in Game 1 of any playoff series, but Father Time is undefeated and Cole is getting older. He's still elite, still dominant when he's right, but relying on one aging ace to carry your entire rotation through October is a recipe for heartbreak. The Yankees need that second legitimate number 1 starter, that other ace who can take the ball in Game 2 or Game 3 of a playoff series and give you the same level of dominance that Cole provides. Max Fried was signed this offseason in a move that made sense on paper, bringing a proven left-handed starter with postseason experience to bolster the rotation. But is Max Fried enough? Is he that true number 2 ace, or is he more realistically a very good number 3 starter on a championship caliber team? Carlos Rodon has the stuff to be elite when he's healthy, but those last 3 words are the problem: when he's healthy. Rodon's injury history is extensive and concerning, and counting on him to give you 30-plus starts of ace-level production is a gamble that hasn't paid off consistently. Then there's the Sandy Alcantara situation, which represents both tremendous upside and significant uncertainty. The Yankees acquired Alcantara from the Marlins, knowing he was recovering from Tommy John surgery, betting that when he returns to full health, he'll be the same dominant pitcher who won the Cy Young Award in 2022. That's a reasonable bet, but Tommy John recovery is unpredictable. And even in the best-case scenario, Alcantara might not be ready for the start of the season or might need months to fully regain his form. Building championship plans around a pitcher coming back from major elbow surgery is hoping for the best while preparing for something less than optimal. This is where Cameron Maybin just changed the entire conversation with one social media post that cut through all the noise and forced everyone to consider a scenario that seemed almost too good to be true. Maybin isn't some random talking head on sports television throwing out hot takes for clicks and controversy. This is a former Yankee who lived in that clubhouse, who experienced the intensity of playing baseball in New York, who understands the unique pressures and demands that come with wearing the pinstripes. When Maybin speaks about what the Yankees need, it carries weight because he's been there, he's seen championship caliber teams up close, and he knows exactly what separates the contenders from the pretenders. And what Maybin is saying right now is that Brian Cashman needs to pick up the phone, call the Detroit Tigers, and do whatever it takes to acquire Tarik Skubal. Let's talk about who Tarik Skubal actually is, because if you've been sleeping on what he accomplished over the last 2 seasons, you need to wake up immediately. This isn't some flash-in-the-pan pitcher who had one good year. This isn't a guy riding unsustainable metrics or getting lucky with balls in play. Tarik Skubal just won his second consecutive American League Cy Young Award, becoming only the latest left-handed power pitcher to completely dominate the league over an extended period. In 2024, Skubal posted a 2.39 earned run average while striking out 228 batters in just over 200 innings pitched. Those aren't good numbers. Those are elite, ace-level, top-of-the-rotation numbers that maybe 5 or 6 pitchers in all of baseball can match. His strikeout rate was astronomical, his walk rate was minimal, and he consistently gave the Tigers a chance to win every single time he took the mound. What makes Skubal even more valuable is his age and contract situation. This isn't a 35-year-old veteran looking for one final payday before retirement. Tarik Skubal is 28 years old, firmly in his prime, at the exact age when power pitchers typically produce their best seasons. He's got the experience to handle pressure situations, the stuff to dominate elite lineups, and the durability to eat innings throughout a long season. He's thrown over 190 innings in back-to-back seasons, proving he can handle the workload of being a true number one starter. His mechanics are clean and repeatable, which suggests he's not a ticking time bomb waiting to blow out his elbow. Everything about Skubal's profile screams ace-level starter for the next 5 to 7 years, exactly the kind of pitcher championship teams are built around. Here's where the situation gets really interesting, and why Maybin's suggestion isn't as far-fetched as it might initially seem. The Detroit Tigers, despite having a legitimate ace in Skubal, might actually be willing to listen to trade offers. Multiple reports from around the league suggest that Detroit isn't prepared to pay Skubal what he's going to command when he hits free agency after the 2026 season. Does this sound familiar? It should, because it's almost exactly the situation the Yankees found themselves in with Juan Soto. The Tigers are a small market franchise operating under financial constraints that make it nearly impossible to retain superstar players when they reach free agency. Rather than lose Skubal for nothing when he walks in 2 years, Detroit might decide that trading him now while his value is at its absolute peak makes more sense for their long-term rebuild. They could acquire a package of elite prospects and controllable young players who could help them contend in 3 or 4 years when their competitive window actually opens. For the Yankees, this represents the kind of opportunity that doesn't come around often. You have a chance to acquire a 28-year-old two-time Cy Young winner who's under team control for 2 more seasons, giving you certainty and stability in your rotation through at least 2026. Any trade for Skubal would almost certainly include an immediate contract extension, locking him into the organization long-term and ensuring he doesn't just become a rental. We're probably talking about a 6-year extension worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $160 million, which sounds like a lot of money until you realize that's actually market value for an ace-level starter in today's game. Max Scherzer got more than that when he was older. Garrett Cole got more than that. Jacob deGrom got more than that before his body betrayed him. Paying $160 million for 6 years of Tarik Skubal's prime isn't an overpay. It's the going rate for elite starting pitching. Cameron Maybin laid out exactly what the Yankees' rotation would look like with Skubal in pinstripes, and just reading through the potential starting 5 is enough to make any Yankees fan's heart race with anticipation. Imagine this. Game 1 of the playoffs, Garrett Cole on the mound, still the veteran ace with championship pedigree and October experience. Game 2, Tarik Skubal, a left-handed power pitcher with elite strikeout stuff who just won back-to-back Cy Young Awards. Game 3, Max Fried, suddenly slotted into the number 3 spot where he's probably most effective, taking pressure off and allowing him to just go out and pitch. Game 4, Carlos Rodon when healthy, using his electric stuff in a role where he's not being asked to be the number 2 starter. Game 5, Sandy Alcantara if he's back to form, giving you yet another power arm with ace potential. That's not just a playoff rotation. That's a championship rotation that would legitimately strike fear into every opposing lineup in baseball. That's the kind of starting pitching depth that wins World Series, that allows your manager to be aggressive with the bullpen, that gives you multiple paths to victory in any given game. You're not scrambling to find a fourth or fifth starter who can just survive 5 innings. You're rolling out legitimate weapons every single night, forcing opposing offenses to face elite stuff from the first pitch through the 7th or 8th inning. That's how you beat the Astros in the playoffs. That's how you match up with the Dodgers' super rotation. That's how you finally bring championship number 28 back to the Bronx. Let's break down what adding Skubal would mean from multiple angles, because this move would impact every facet of the organization. From a pure roster construction standpoint, acquiring Skubal gives the Yankees exactly what they've been missing for years: true ace-level depth in the starting rotation. Having Cole and Skubal as your 1-2 punch in October is the kind of foundation that wins championships. You're not asking one aging ace to carry the entire load. You're distributing the workload across 2 elite starters who can both dominate lineups and give you 7 or 8 quality innings in crucial games. Max Fried immediately becomes a much more valuable piece when he's your number 3 starter instead of being asked to be the clear number 2. His stuff plays up in that role, and suddenly, the pressure on him decreases substantially. Carlos Rodon's health concerns become less catastrophic because you're not depending on him to be that second ace. If he's healthy and effective, great, you have incredible depth. If he's hurt or inconsistent, you still have 3 elite starters ahead of him in the rotation. That's the kind of organizational depth that championship teams possess, the ability to absorb injuries and inconsistency without completely derailing your season. Sandy Alcantara's recovery timeline becomes less urgent because you're not counting on him to save your rotation. If he comes back and pitches like a Cy Young winner, you have potentially 5 legitimate ace-caliber starters. If he needs more time or struggles initially, you still have 4 excellent options ahead of him. The tactical implications for manager Aaron Boone would be massive and would fundamentally change how he manages games throughout the season and especially in October. Having that kind of starting pitching depth means Boone can be more aggressive with how he uses the bullpen, knowing that his starters are likely to give him quality innings deep into games. He doesn't have to quick hook a struggling starter in the 5th inning because he's worried about the next guy being even worse. He can let his aces work through tough spots, trust their stuff, and ride them deeper into ball games. In the playoffs, that kind of depth is absolutely invaluable, because it allows you to manage your bullpen strategically over a 7-game series, avoiding having to overuse your best relievers early and having them unavailable later. The psychological impact on the clubhouse can't be understated either. When Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and the veteran core see management making a move this aggressive, it sends an unmistakable message. We are all in on winning right now. There's no half measures, no hoping prospects develop, no waiting for the perfect moment. The organization is committing significant resources and prospects to acquire a legitimate superstar because the championship window is open and we're not wasting it. That kind of aggressive roster building creates momentum and belief within a clubhouse, making players believe that management is doing everything possible to put them in position to win. Now let's talk about the financial reality, because acquiring Tarik Skubal isn't going to be cheap either in terms of prospects or dollars. The Yankees are already navigating luxury tax considerations with one of the highest payrolls in baseball. Adding Skubal's current salary and then extending him for 6 years and $160 million represents a substantial financial commitment that would push the Yankees even deeper into luxury tax territory. But this is the New York Yankees we're talking about, an organization that generates more revenue than almost any franchise in professional sports. Owner Hal Steinbrenner has shown he's willing to spend when the right opportunity presents itself, and if there was ever a right opportunity, acquiring a 28-year-old 2-time Cy Young winner certainly qualifies. The prospect cost would be significant and painful. Detroit isn't going to just gift the Yankees a Cy Young winner out of the goodness of their hearts. Any trade package for Skubal would likely need to be built around some of the Yankees' top prospects, potentially including pitchers like Will Warren or Chase Hampton. Maybe Anthony Volpe if the Tigers demanded a major league-ready player. Potentially other highly ranked prospects from the farm system. That hurts. Giving up prospects always hurts, especially when you've invested years in their development and you believe they could become impact players. But championship windows don't stay open forever, and sometimes you have to mortgage parts of the future to maximize the present. The Yankees have an elite core right now with Judge in his prime, Stanton still productive, Cole still dominant, and Juan Soto now in the mix. This is the time to be aggressive, not conservative. The Tigers are in full rebuild mode, trying to accumulate as much young talent as possible to build toward future contention. They need controllable players with high ceilings who can help them 3 or 4 years from now when their competitive window actually opens. A package built around multiple top 100 prospects, potentially a young major league player, and maybe another mid-level prospect or two might be enough to get Detroit's attention. The Tigers know they can't afford to pay Skubal in free agency. They know he's walking in 2026. Getting a massive prospect haul now, rather than getting draft pick compensation later, makes strategic sense for their organizational timeline. There's also the competitive urgency factor that makes this move make even more sense right now. The American League East is an absolute gauntlet with no easy outs. The Baltimore Orioles just won the division and show no signs of slowing down, with a young core that's only getting better. The Boston Red Sox are always lurking, always dangerous, always capable of catching lightning in a bottle with their player development system and analytical approach. The Tampa Bay Rays continue to defy financial limitations and compete year after year through innovative roster construction and player development. The Toronto Blue Jays have star power and payroll flexibility. Standing pat while your division rivals continue to improve is organizational malpractice when you have a championship-caliber core. Beyond the division, the American League landscape is treacherous. The Houston Astros are always a threat as long as they have their core intact, and they've proven time and again that they know how to win in October. The Texas Rangers just won a World Series and believe they can do it again. The Seattle Mariners have pitching depth that matches up with anyone. If the Yankees want to navigate through this minefield and actually win a championship, they need every possible advantage, and adding Tarik Skubal would give them a significant edge. There's also the "if we don't get him, someone else will" consideration that can't be ignored in these situations. The Dodgers are always hunting for starting pitching and have the resources to make any deal happen. The Philadelphia Phillies need rotation help desperately after another playoff disappointment. The New York Mets, with Steve Cohen's unlimited financial resources, could absolutely get involved if they decided Skubal is the missing piece. The Yankees can't afford to sit back and watch a division rival or potential playoff opponent add a 2-time Cy Young winner to their rotation. Sometimes you make aggressive moves not just because they help you, but because you can't allow your competitors to get significantly better. The injury risk exists with any pitcher, but Skubal's track record suggests he's been remarkably durable and dependable. He's thrown over 190 innings in consecutive seasons, proving he can handle the workload of being a legitimate workhorse starter. His mechanics are clean and efficient, not the kind of violent max-effort delivery that screams future Tommy John surgery. This isn't like trading for a pitcher with a documented history of arm troubles or someone who's already had multiple elbow surgeries. Skubal is healthy, durable, and in his prime. The risk is always there, but it's manageable risk that championship teams have to accept when acquiring elite talent. From a player development perspective, having Skubal in the organization would also benefit the Yankees' younger pitchers tremendously. Imagine what someone like Will Warren or Clark Schmidt could learn from watching how a 2-time Cy Young winner prepares for starts, how he attacks hitters, how he makes adjustments based on scouting reports, how he manages his body throughout a long season. That kind of mentorship and institutional knowledge is invaluable for building organizational depth and developing the next generation of starting pitchers. Sometimes the secondary benefits of adding elite talent extend beyond just what that player does on the field. The fan reaction to a Skubal trade would be absolutely electric. Yankees fans have been starving for that signature blockbuster move that demonstrates management is all in on winning championships. After years of watching the team make safe, conservative moves that never quite push them over the top, acquiring a 28-year-old two-time Cy Young winner would energize the entire fan base heading into spring training. Ticket sales would spike, merchandise would fly off shelves. The buzz around the team would reach levels not seen since the championship years. Championship expectations would be justified rather than just hopeful thinking. Vegas odds makers would immediately shift their World Series odds, likely making the Yankees the favorites or co-favorites alongside the Dodgers, and those odds would be justified. A rotation featuring Cole, Skubal, Fried, and potentially Rodon and Alcantara gives the Yankees the kind of starting pitching depth that matches up with any team in baseball. Combined with their offensive firepower, led by Judge and Soto, and a bullpen that has been retooled with quality arms, the Yankees would have all three components necessary for championship success: elite starting pitching, powerful offense, and quality relief pitching. The question now becomes whether Brian Cashman and the Yankees front office have the courage to actually pull the trigger on a move this aggressive. Cashman has been burned before by blockbuster trades that didn't work out. Remember when the Yankees acquired Sonny Gray and he completely fell apart under the pressure of pitching in New York? Remember when they gave up significant prospects for players who never lived up to expectations? Those experiences create organizational scar tissue that makes decision-makers more cautious, more conservative, more willing to play it safe rather than swing for the fences. But Tarik Skubal is different. This isn't a pitcher with mental fragility or questions about whether he can handle pressure. Skubal was dominant in Detroit's brief playoff run, showing that the moment doesn't overwhelm him and he can pitch his best when the stakes are highest. His stuff translates to any ballpark, any situation, any level of competition. Left-handed power pitchers with elite strikeout stuff have historically thrived in Yankee Stadium, where the short porch in right field can be neutralized by missing bats. Everything about Skubal's profile suggests he would not only survive in New York, but thrive under the brightest lights in baseball. Cameron Maybin just gave Brian Cashman the blueprint. The roadmap is clear, the opportunity is there, the Tigers might actually be willing to deal. The question is whether Cashman has the willingness to pay the price in prospects and dollars to land a generational talent who could define the Yankees' championship window for the next 5 to 7 years. Championship windows are fleeting and fragile. They close faster than anyone expects. When you have a chance to add a 28-year-old two-time Cy Young winner to your rotation, you do whatever it takes to make it happen. So Yankees universe, what do you think about this potential franchise-altering move? Should Brian Cashman be on the phone with Detroit right now, offering whatever package of prospects it takes to bring Tarik Skubal to the Bronx? Would you rather see the Yankees pursue Skubal or stick with the Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger plans that everyone's been discussing? What prospects would you be willing to include in a Skubal trade package? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's debate whether this is the move that finally brings championship number 28 back to New York. And make sure to tell me what city you're repping Yankees Nation from, whether you're in the Bronx or watching from across the country or around the world.